Hello and welcome to the training log for the week of February 27th. I considered skipping this week because I didn't really film any B-roll material to put in this video, but I figured I have enough of these warm-up sets to act as B-roll, and I wanted to talk a bit about what I've been doing this week to address my raising fatigue levels. I mentioned last week that I felt my fatigue levels had been creeping up and reached a point where they were starting to get in the way, and that's still true this week. This is the 9th week of Rip and Tear, which is usually kind of a deload week, but I took it a bit farther by cutting quite a few of the squat sets and some of the bench sets. And that's mostly because now that I hit a squat PR last week, I just don't have a ton of motivation to keep practicing squatting. I got what I wanted out of the squat. The only reason I was doing all that squat work was to hit a squat PR, and now that I've done that, I just really don't have a lot of motivation to keep squatting. So moving forward, I don't know if I'm going to keep squatting but maybe move the box back up just because that's a little bit less fatiguing, or I consider maybe just practicing front squat a little bit and see if I can't set myself up for a front squat PR. I'll probably make that decision sometime next week, but it's probably not going to be following explicitly what's written out in my program because I really just don't need 3 more weeks of intense squatting at this point. As for bench, I think I'm going to keep on with the programming. It's not nearly as hard to keep pushing upper body lifts as hard as the lower body lifts, which I've talked about several times in these videos. And it would be nice to get a bench PR out of this program. I don't think it's going to happen because bench, in my experience, PRs well with low fatigue, whereas squat and deadlift are a little bit more resistant to that. As for the odd lifts, obviously I kept doing them. It probably wasn't a good idea to do them this week, as I am already so fatigued. Adding more fatigue with particularly that squat I just did and then some of the deadlifts you're about to see, it's not really productive. It's not good in the long term, but at the end of the day, I like doing this stuff. I want to do this stuff, so I'm willing to take a slightly suboptimal approach to my programming if it means I get to keep doing what I actually enjoy versus the stuff that is not particularly enjoyable to me. I took my 3 hypertrophy focus days at the commercial gym a lot easier this week. I took the leg day pretty easy last week, but I took all 3 days easier this week. I basically just got in, got some sets done. I did less intensity than usual. I got up to lower weights than usual, even when I tried to push it, which was a good sign that fatigue was catching up. I mean, if you can't curl as much as you did last week, you probably have a lot of fatigue at that point. There are going to come points where fatigue catches up and you're not able to approach your programming with the same intensity you want to, or necessarily the intensity you need to improve. And when that happens, you still need to, get your training in, but you have to moderate it a little bit. It's better to get something done than nothing done a lot of times. I'm not a big fan of complete rest. I don't think it's super productive. So I think that you should, get in the gym, but take it to 80-85% instead of 90-95 or even 100%. That's still going to get you moving. It's going to aid your recovery, if anything, just getting the blood moving, getting your muscles loose, and getting all those nice healing factors moving around. And it's just going to keep you in the game mentally. And sometimes you'll find that even when you think you're out of energy and that you're not going to have a productive workout, you still get a lot done. Granted, this week was not that example. I definitely was tired and it showed in a lot of the lifts I attempted. But as a better example of that, today I went in to do legs expecting to do it very light with only something like head curls and leg extension because there was something in the crevice of my right knee that was bugging me when I was curling my leg up. So I felt it a bit during the warm-up hamstring curls. I kept those lighter, but then I didn't feel them at all in the leg press or any other work I did. So whatever is bruised or tender in there is exclusively becoming pain when I curl my leg up, which I can still do a lot of workouts without doing that without any issues. So sometimes when you have fatigue or you have a small injury, you need to get out there and find out what can work as opposed to dwelling on what can't. I'm going to have to remember that mindset and apply it personally over this next few weeks because at the end of every single one of my bulks, and this happens every time, but I'm still surprised every time, I reach a point where my fatigue just catches up and really there's not enough time left in the bulk to let fully shed. So if I wanted to completely eliminate my fatigue right now, I'd basically have to just do nothing until the bulk was over, and that doesn't really make sense. I'm about to have an extended cut where I will massively cut back on the volume and intensity, and I can recover my overall fatigue back then. So that means I'm going to have 3 weeks where I'm probably just not going to be lifting the kind of weights that I want to be able to lift, that I should be able to lift. And that's discouraging. It's not fun to get into a workout and reach your limit at a point that you could do better than if you weren't so tired. And it's discouraging, it's not fun, you feel weak, but it's just kind of part of the process. When you're trying to bulk and grow bigger, you need to push your body to that point because that's what forces it to adapt. If you want to reach your peak potential, you need to shed that fatigue, and shedding that fatigue is not conducive to growing and getting better. So I just need to keep plowing ahead, lifting less weight than I want to, and not enjoying the workouts as much as I might be able to, because that's just part of the cost of getting better. I'm going to take this opportunity to grow as much as I can, which means I can't show right now. But then later on, when I cut, I'll be able to both show the muscle that I've built and I'll be able to show the strength I've built by shedding the fatigue that I've accumulated now. So it's a phasic process. You need to put something in to get something out. So never feel too discouraged when that fatigue creeps up, because long term, it is what's going to help you out. Even if in the short term, it's a pain and it feels bad. That's about all I've got for this week. As always, if you have any questions or want anything elaborated on, feel free to ask me in the comments. And if there's anything you'd like to see in future weeks specifically, or any feedback you have, let me know so I can make these better. I enjoy making these, and this is something I'm going to be able to want to reference in the future, but I also want anyone watching them to enjoy them. So if there's anything I can do to make them more enjoyable, please let me know.